following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, this is Rob Deininger with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I'm here with Jack Degraw, and we are talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you today, Robert?
I'm not too bad. I'm watching the Yankees try to hold on to this lead right now.
Yeah, it's kind of shaky.
Yeah, the Yankees in their last 10 games are 4-6, and they came in today tied with Tampa Bay for the lead in the AL East. Things are getting tight.
Yeah, the pitching's falling apart a little bit, and all these guys that has been doing a great job. They might be coming down to earth a little bit, but it's a long season. They've only played like 40% of the game, so there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, and I remember telling you last week, June's a tough month for the Yankees. They got a lot of opponents in their division, like the Red Sox, and they got the Mets, of course, this weekend. But this is gonna, decide where things are gonna shape up around the All-Star break.
Yeah, I know they got the Astros and the Mets.
Yeah.
And then the thing I don't like, Robert. I mean, at the end of the month they have to go over to London.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Then 2 days later, they're back in New York playing the Mets. So, you don't know what that trip over to London is going to take out of, the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yeah. And the news that this morning was Domingo Germán was placed on the 10-day IL, and that's going to hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, that's not a complete surprise, Robert, because as we were discussing a few weeks ago, he's up to, I believe, 70 innings already, and he only pitched 85 innings last year. So he can only go maybe 130, 140 innings this year. So, I think, we're going to see the Yankees get a pitcher to sometime before the trade deadline.
Yeah, the one guy who was out there, Dallas Keuchel, he signed with the Atlanta Braves for $13.5 million for 1 year, and I know the Yankees were trying to sign him. I think they offered him something like $11.5, but he wound up signing with Atlanta, so he's off the market now.
Yeah, I think, Robert, we're going to see like a lot of teams are going to be falling out of the race soon. So I think the Yankees will probably pick up a starter or two, with a team like maybe like the White Sox, Toronto, Miami, or maybe the Diamondbacks. And so we'll have to see how that moves forward.
Yeah, and do you think the Yankees are banking on someone like Montgomery maybe coming back in the second half this year, or do you kind of think he's going to be more impactful next season?
Well, I think the thing is, Robert, he will come back this year, but the scary thing is, when guys come back from Tommy John surgery, even if they're ready to pitch, a lot of times it takes a while for them to, get back in the groove. So it'd be nice to get Montgomery back, but expecting to come out and be, really effective is, a 50-50 proposition.
Yeah. And the Yankees bullpen, though, they've been letting them down a little bit. Zach Britton had a rough outing the last time I saw him. Tommy Canale today had a rough outing, gave up 4 runs, I think.
Yeah, they were cruising along. Green and Cortez was pitching great today, and Cano come in and gave up like 4 runs in the 1 inning. And, but they eked it out today, Robert. They just won 7-6. So,
good.
So everybody's happy in Yankee land for at least a day.
Yeah, and it is nice to see Didi back in uniform now.
Yeah, they weren't expect to get him back for another month or 6 weeks. So he come up and he got 2 hits the first night. He hit a home run last night, and you gave me an update on him earlier today, and it wasn't good news, but.
Yeah, he allowed a tying run to come in the bottom of the 9th. He whiffed on a ball hit to the hole in shortstop, and he whiffed on it, and it bounced off his knee towards the foul line and allowed the runner from second to score.
Well, at least they come back and got the win. I heard Robert, Stanton might start rehabbing tomorrow night with the Tampa Tarpons down here in Tampa. So that's a possibility. And I heard that Judge was on the field last week, and he's going to start taking batting practice, though there's no timetable when he'll be back. And Severino, he's been playing catch. He hasn't been on the mound yet, so they could possibly get him back. Well, who knows when Severino will come back, if it ever.
Yeah. And I heard they had to shut Betances down.
Yeah, he threw the other day, and he was supposed to. Then he experienced some soreness, and he's going to go to New York on Monday, and have an MRI done. And the thing that surprised me, when they signed him, they never told Betances, the Yankees, he had a bone spur.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. I didn't know about that. Wow.
Yeah. And they never mentioned it to him because they figured it wasn't important. But I mean, it's the guy's arm. I think he should know if he's got a bone spur.
Yeah, right. Wow. And Stanton, he's every time he seems to be on the way back to the field, it seems like another injury creeps up and bites him. Do you think when we do get him back, he's going to be impactful for the Yankees? Or do you think he's going to be playing a lot of catch up, trying to get his body back in shape?
Well, I guess the only good thing, Robert, he did go through spring training, but I mean, let's be honest, he only played a couple games, and it's been like it's been over 2 months since he's really played in the major league game. So it's going to take a while, I think, for him to to catch up a little bit, and hopefully they can put him somewhere in a lineup where he's not going to be struggling too much. I don't want to see him and Judge come back at the same time because it sometimes it takes a week or two just to get back in the groove.
Yeah, and Michael, I was listening to the Michael Kay show this past week, and they brought up a good point with the fans. The fans want to see Didi back and Judge back, but the elephant in the room is Stanton. Fans aren't that eager to see him come back because of the strikeouts and how it could affect the dynamic in their lineup. Well, it's definitely a big concern. I mean, he struggled big time last year, but he still had a good year. Yeah. He's having trouble, striking out, and that's can you really stick a guy in the middle of a lineup, when all these replacement Yankees are doing such a great job, and that is a concern. But if Stanton can get straightened out, he's a great ball player. Yeah, and when he does come back, he'll probably play a lot of mostly DH. I would assume. And Clint Frazier had a couple hits today, including he drove in the go-ahead run in the 8th inning with the sac fly. I mean, he's really good at the plate, but he might be the odd man out. Yeah, you don't know really what they're going to do with Frazier. I hope they keep him, and next year, I hope he's the starting left fielder. I'd like to see that kid bat in the lineup. I mean, he's only 24. He'll be 25 next season, and he's got the potential to hit 35 home runs and knock in over 100 runs. I mean, the defense is a concern, but they can always work on that. Yeah, he had that brutal game in Los Angeles in right field. I mean, I felt bad for him after that game, and they made a big deal about him not talking to the media afterwards. Yeah, I know he's had some trouble with the press, and you don't want to get the press against you in New York because they're ruthless. Yeah. To me, Robert, it's just a big ado about nothing. I mean, the kid had a terrible game, and just get out there and work hard, and just be able to do it the right way, and I think he will. Yeah, and the next game was against the Blue Jays, and he had a big home run early in the game in that one. I mean, so I don't think the media pressures him, but you're right. You don't want to get the media on your bad side because they will eat you alive in New York.
Yeah, and they can be ruthless. And I mean, I remember back years ago, when the Mets had the problem with Tom Seaver and Dick Young of the Daily News, and it was a nightmare. So you don't want them to to not be on your side.
Yeah, and Gary Sanchez, his bat. I mean, he's got 19 home runs already. I mean, it's not bad for a guy playing catcher.
No, he's got too good of a bat to, I know the fans were down on him last year, but he's got too big of a bat, and I think defensively he's done well this year. He's had a few hiccups, but overall he's been good.
They were early in the season. He had a couple of mistakes throwing the ball into center field, but other than that, I mean, he's defensively behind the plate, he's done a better job of blocking balls and stuff and framing pitches. He's done pretty well this year, considering what he went through last year. Yeah,
I mean, he'll be an all-star, so you don't want to lose a talent like that.
No, and Mickey Mantle, what was it? Yesterday was 60 years ago that they retired his number, or it was Mickey Mantle Day.
Yeah, that was 50 years ago. That was 1969, and I remember watching that on Channel 11 WPIX in New York, and you can also see that on YouTube, and it's just incredible. If anybody gets a chance to watch it, do so. Yeah, they retired Mickey's number between games. They beat the White Sox in a doubleheader, and Joe D gave Mickey a plaque, and then Mickey gave Joe D a plaque, and I remember Mickey saying, just hang Joe's a little bit higher because, Mickey was a great teammate. I mean, I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of his teammates, and they all rave about him. Johnny Blanchard and Tommy Tresh and Al Downing, and it was a great thrill to see the Mick play.
And on his plaque out there, it even says a great teammate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he took more pride in that than anything.
And when his number was retired, his number was what? Only the fourth number to be retired?
Yeah, because back then, you had Ruth, Gehrig, and DiMaggio.
Man, wow, that must have been an honor for him, though. I mean, that must have been huge.
Yeah, I remember they rode him around the ballpark, and like I say, if people get a chance to watch it on YouTube, it's it's an incredible ceremony because they bring back all the great Yankees from the 50s and the early 60s, and then you get a taste of all that great Yankee tradition.
Yeah, I remember a speech that he gave, and he mentioned Lou Gehrig. He wondered how a man who knew he was dying could consider himself the luckiest man in the world. And he says, but now I know, and meaning the fans and playing baseball in New York. I thought that was a nice speech he gave. I'm not sure what day that was, though. I think it might have been his last game or something.
Yeah, I mean, the last game Mickey played was like September 25th, 1968. The Yankees got one hit by Louis Tiant, and Mickey got the only hit. And the interesting thing, Robert, is they only had like 5,000 fans in the park.
Wow. For Mick's last game.
Yeah.
Wow. I know Bobby Cox was a member of that Yankee team, and he said even though Mantle wasn't the player he was still the best hitter on the Yankees team.
Yeah, I mean, they had Roy White, and they had Bobby Mercer, and Andy Costco, Jake Gibbs, Horace Clark, Stick Michael. The pitching was good. They had Stottlemyre and Stan Bonson and Fritz Peterson and Lindy McDaniel and, Jack Aker. So, they had some talent. Those years, Robert, I mean, weren't as bad as people let on because, I'm a little too young to remember, the dynasty of the 50s and the 60s. So when I started liking them, it was like 64. So, 68 through 73, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. 65, 66, 67 was a nightmare, but, I was too young to really know what was going on. It was probably a good thing.
Yeah. And the Yankees, I see they drafted Al Leiter's son, Jack Leiter, but all indications are that he's going to go to college and not sign with the Yankees. He's going to go to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and you're probably a little more up on it than I am, Robert. I mean, they signed that shortstop from Del Barton, from Del Barton in Morristown, New Jersey. That's only like from 10 miles where I'm from. And I don't know if they signed him yet. Have you got any news on him?
No. I'm going through it now because I'm not familiar with a lot of the kids in college or, from high school.
Yeah, I just seen the Yankees. They did draft a lot of left-handed pitchers. So, I haven't heard of, I don't know, I don't think they've signed anybody yet, but, maybe in the one of the next couple of shows we can, touch on some of those guys.
Yeah, and the Yankees, they I guess play the Mets starting tomorrow. Was it 2 games they play the Mets for?
Yeah, I believe Tanaka is going to pitch tomorrow. He couldn't make the start today because his wife's having the baby. And a funny story, Robert. I mean, if you go back in the 50s and 60s, they didn't give the players the day off when their wife was having the baby because they said she's having the baby, not you.
Yeah. Well, men weren't even allowed in the delivery room, right, back then?
Jeez, I don't think so, Robert. I mean, everything's everything's changed so much. God knows what's going on now.
Yeah. After the Mets, they go to Chicago to play the White Sox, and then they got a 3-game set against Tampa, 4 against Houston, 3 against Toronto, and then they play Boston. And they start July off with the Mets and 4 with Tampa, so they got a pretty tough stretch coming up for the rest of the month of June. The one that concerns me, Robert, when they go over to London, and then they got like an off day, and they're flying home from London, and then they got like 6 tough games in a row, and I don't know how that could be tough to handle with all that jet lag and stuff. Yeah, and I mean Tanaka, he still can't find his splitter.
Yeah, he has a knack of giving up home runs. I mean, he'll be sailing along for 3 or 4 innings, and then, he has that arm trouble. I mean, it's just like a surgery waiting to happen. He stayed away from it for over 3 seasons, but you don't know when, that he's going to have an injury with his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, Tanaka right now is giving up 11 home runs. Happ has given up 16. And Sabathia has given up 14. So 3 of their better pitchers have been victims of the long ball.
Well, I mean, the good thing is Happ, he'll give up solo home runs. And, the last start didn't hurt him too much. CC, I don't know, Robert. He might be, on his last legs. And, it's a concern. I mean, he'll probably be on the injured list again, and he'll be coming on and off. You got to hope guys like Chance Adams and Chad Green and guys like that, Cortez today, those guys can step in and do what the Rays have been doing. They start relievers. Yeah,
and Chad Green, he started out good today, but he's had an up and down season so far, really. In 18 innings, he's given up 30 hits. His WHIP is 1.88. He seems to either have it or he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happened with him, but he's definitely went south a little bit. I mean, like you were saying, sometimes he looks outstanding. I mean, he looked good today, but you never know what you're going to get with him.
Is there anything you're looking for out of the Yankees coming up this week?
Nothing in particular, Robert. I just hope, the pitching can step up a little bit, and, we'll see what they're going to do, with a starter. It would have been nice to get Keuchel, but I can understand it in a way. I mean, you're going to spend like $12, $13 million for a guy who can pitch maybe 3.5 months because you don't know when he's going to be ready to pitch into a game. I'd rather get a guy from a team that's struggling, it's not going to go anywhere, and you trade for him, and then he can just step right into the rotation. So we don't know who that guy's going to be yet, but I'm sure we'll see pitching coming from somewhere.
Yeah, and one thing Brian Cashman does do good, he finds value in players that, we necessarily don't think about.
Yeah, I mean, look what they've done over the years. I mean, they got Hicks, Voit, Didi, and when they come to the Yankees, they turned into, like mediocre players. I mean, they were mediocre players. I mean, Didi was good, but they turned into outstanding players. So, maybe the Yankees with this analytics and stuff, there's something to it because these guys, become outstanding ball players. Yeah,
Didi, I mean, he in his first 4 years with the Yankees, I mean, he got better every single season, and I think, he's just going to continue to get better. I think, if he stays healthy, he's going to have a really good second half.
Yeah, I mean, that's I like him because he's not only a good hitter, he really don't strike out much, and he seems to get a lot of clutch hits. And, he's got a great arm there at short, covers a lot of ground, so I hope they sign Didi for the next 3 or 4 seasons at least.
Yeah, I mean, last year he batted .268, but in 2017 he batted .287, and that was up from .276, and that was up from .265. So, I mean, he's been trending upward each year at the Yankees as far as his batting average and production is, concerned.
Yeah, I mean, they got him, you didn't hear a lot of when Cashman picked him up, and, he's turned into, an outstanding player.
Yeah, I remember thinking, who is this guy? And because at the time, they were only using him, I think Arizona was only using him against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, and I know, like in the draft picks, the Yankees were always, picking up shortstops to try to replace, Jeter, and they made a great move getting Didi.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to ask you. Gleyber Torres. They sat him down for a couple games. What was bothering him again? Was it his elbow or something?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, he was only supposed to sit out 2 games, and they sent him to the minor leagues.
No. I think he was in the lineup today, but I mean, just elbow and Torres. You don't want to see him headed for the IL. One day soon. Well,
the thing is, Robert, the Yankees are notorious for downplaying the injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember Hicks early in spring training?
Yeah,
he's only
supposed to miss a couple games. Yeah. It turned out to be almost the first half.
Yeah, so, I give them a lot of credit, the Yankees, to be in the position they are with all the injuries they have. And, I just hope they can get all these guys back. And, because the Rays are for real and the Red Sox will be, they'll be in the mix before the end of the season.
And a lot of people said, Tampa, they'll drop off by the time the season's over. But I don't think Tampa's going to go anywhere. I think we might actually see 2 teams from the American League East make the wild card.
Yeah, I believe so too, Robert. I mean, the Rays just have a knack of putting teams together, they pick up these guys. They're a no-name team, but they pick up these guys and they perform for them. And the Red Sox are always the Red Sox. They'll be around, late September.
Yeah, and like when we were talking about Herman earlier, he's one of the main reasons that we've had the kind of first half that we had. I mean, he's 9-2, and we're going to need someone, another pitcher to step up just to get that production, because I don't think we're going to see the same Herman the whole year. So pitching's definitely going to be important.
Yeah, I think Herman, I bet you we don't see him for at least till after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And then, you got to hope you get Lazaga back and, Montgomery comes back in August and Severino. I don't know if we'll ever see him, but I hope, the best case scenario, we'll get him back late in July. But, there's a lot of big question marks.
Yeah, because, the pitching's going to be critical for the Yankees, and it'll be interesting to see what Cashman does at the trade deadline, because I don't think there's a choice. I think you got to go out and kind of get a starter.
Yeah, I believe so. And, you got to get one of those teams that, they were talking that Stroman from Toronto, because, the Blue Jays are rebuilding. And I believe, now they got Bichette and Vlad Jr. in the lineup. And, they got Drury from the Yankees, last year. So,
yeah, and I think Craig Biggio's son, I think, too.
Yeah, and, they might get a couple prospects from the Yankees. Another team to look for is maybe a pitcher or two from Miami, because, Gary Denbo, Jeter, have with the Yankees. Denbo was head of the farm system, so he knows a lot of guys from the Yankees. And, maybe they could pick up one of the Marlins starters for a few, mid-level prospects. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. And the one pitcher I'm hoping for a big second half is James Paxton. He's only he hasn't. I think he's only pitched like 46 innings, so he hasn't had a lot of innings thrown on him. But he's just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, I look for Paxton to pick up, and I like Happ too. I think you'll see him at the end of the year. He'll have 12, 14 wins, and so he's a good pitcher. So I have confidence in him.
Yeah, I think right behind Tanaka, he's one of the. I think he's pitched just over 70 innings, so he eats up innings.
Yeah, that was a good acquisition. I like Happ as a pitcher. He's a fly ball pitcher. In Yankee Stadium, but, Yankee Stadium's a bandbox anymore, not like the old days. But, if Happ can just give up solo home runs, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, Pete Rose is on the Michael K. show, and he was talking about the stadiums today, about how the balls just fly out of the park, like in Houston and Colorado and Arizona,
Yeah, I mean that's what the fans want to see now. They want to see home runs, and that's what you're seeing. I think the balls are jacked up too, and it's home run or nothing anymore. So players like Pete Rose are a dying breed, and it's a shame because on the ball field, Pete Rose was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, Jack, next week we'll be joining, I guess, Wayne Unger, right? We'll be on his show?
I believe so. I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully we'll get together next week, Robert, and hopefully the Yankees show will be a little more positive.
Yeah, this past week they're a little struggling. They're 4-6. Today they won, so maybe they'll be 6-4 or 7-3 in their next 10.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. All right, Jack. This is a pleasure.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
Okay. You all take care and have a good one.
Yep. Bye-bye.
The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.